Guys, closing on a new deal is very exciting, but now that you've closed, the work really begins on ramping up your vision of why you bought that property in the first place. So the onboarding can be a challenge if you don't prepare for it up front. So here are my 10 steps for what you need to do after you take down an apartment deal. Step one, initiate the business plan. Your responsibility as a syndicator is to initiate and put into place the plan that you outlined in your proposal to your investors. During your due diligence phase, well before you bought the property, you should have been really thinking about what you're going to do and put it into a pro forma. It's your plan and what you're going to do after you get control of that deal. You need to put that outline into a budget and calculate the specifics of what you're going to repair, what you're going to improve, what you're going to upgrade. So you will also determine what these upgrades will yield in terms of rent bump compared to the comps in the area as well, if this is a value add situation. So you got to make certain that the property management company can get behind the numbers that you're putting together, and as they will be executing all the increases, and they really need to know what those targets are that you're promising to your investors. If the property management gets behind the plan and they say they can execute it, then it's up to you as a syndicator to make sure that you can execute that plan without blowing your budget. Your property management company should provide you with access to the reporting system so you can track how your income and expenses are doing, so things will stay on budget. So that is certainly a very important part of working with the property management, so again, they can get behind whatever it is that you're putting together for them. Step two, let your investors know that the deal is closed. So while you're working up to the close, you should be maintaining communication with your investors on how the deal is progressing. As they've funded the account, they're sitting back and they're waiting for you to actually let them know, yes, everything is good. But there's usually hiccups, but maintaining that communication with your investors, it will make them feel like they're actually part of the process, and that's what they're expecting, and that's what they want to know. After you close, you need to send out the congratulatory email indicating the deal is done. And aside from any inside scoops about the close itself, good or bad, you may also want to set the tone as to how often they can expect the communications and, of course, their payment from the property. So the email will outline things that you're going to send on monthly notifications, for instance, on the first 6 months while you stabilize the property, and then you go into a quarterly email as well. With that quarterly email, you should have a financial statement, a quarterly rent roll, and other financial information as well. So aside from that, you should also have pictures of the property and any improvements that you might have done as an ongoing basis. And you should also include links to like news articles and other positive changes that are happening in the local market and in that community as well. You'll also want to include details about taxes and distribution payments, so the investors will be expecting, and they'll know what to expect on an ongoing basis as far as that's concerned. Step three, set up a weekly KPI review with your management company. So scheduling a weekly call with your property manager to go over your KPIs is important. Your KPIs stands for key performance indicators. The KPIs that you want to track are things like income, delinquency, expenses, move outs, the key aspects you need to understand how that property is performing. You'll also want to know that the property management company, where they're at with their vacancies. They want to know where the rent ready units are and their move outs. All these KPIs must be reviewed on a regular basis so there's no surprises. And if they do need something from you as a syndicator, that they can ask you right there on the spot and nip it in the bud. Step four, handle investor distributions. You may have a clause in your agreement with your investors that says that you'll distribute after the property is stabilized after a set amount of time. This is typically 6 months, but it varies from project to project. But regardless, on a quarterly basis afterwards, you still want you'll still send out your distributions to your investors, and it is during the planning phase when you decide in your organization who will handle the distributions. Uh, I'm thinking that you'd want your CPA to provide you with what the investors will get in terms of what amount, but I recommend that you personally handle the mailing or the ACH of the payment along with a thank you note. And I think it adds a nice classy touch for the investor, and it also allows you to maintain control of that payment, which is also very important. Step 5, maintain an ongoing investor communication. Every month you need to update your investors as to the regular progress of the property. You'll want to email occupancy numbers, renovation updates, any major capital expenses, and maybe even any special events that you're holding for the community. Like I mentioned earlier, you want to report the financials as well on a quarterly basis, and also anything that's going to implement or hit their taxes, right? Any tax documentation, you want to do that on an annual basis as well. So that's also going to be a very key item for them, so they can take any depreciation or anything else like that at the end of the year. Step 6, managing renovations. If you bought a property with a bridge loan to cover any renovations, you'll certainly want to be in regular contact with the lender as you make the improvements. Typically, they will give you draws to pay for a repair. So let's say you have to get a roofing job done. It's a $60,000 roofing job. They typically will split it up into like 3 tranches, for instance, right? So 20, 20, and 20. And the bank will send you the first tranche to pay for the first down payment, and then the second and the third, right? So there's 3 separate milestones, for instance, right? Afterwards, they'll send out a representative after the final payment is done to make sure the work was actually completed. Someone will show up, take the pictures, and send them all back to the bank. Now, if you're using investor money for the renovations, you won't obviously need to get bank approval for this because you're using investor money. But you still want to set up the same sort of thing. You still want to set up the tranche, and you still want to report as to the progress of the project and let your investors know that the improvements were made. You almost want to even replicate that same sort of look and feel. So again, they're engaged, they know what's going on, and they feel like they're playing an active role in the management of the property, even though they're not. Step 7, maintaining occupancy. Once you take over the property and you initiate the plan, you should expect vacancy to go up a little bit in the first 8 to 16 months while you start making your improvement and changes. You'll want to work to keep your occupancy as high as you can, so you can hit your projected returns. So it's your responsibility to manage the property manager. This means to verify that they are implementing the right marketing and doing the work to keep the occupancy where it needs to be to hit your targets. They should be in tune with the local market and advertising on a regular basis, so that way they can get new tenants into that property, including social media. That's a really big part of doing this, of keeping the occupancy up. Tenants are using social media these days to find new apartments. But make sure the property manager is managing the renovations to the plan and not to accelerate the development too quickly. If you plan to build out carefully, you won't blow your budget reserves too early, is ultimately what you're looking to do. So as newly renovated units are completed and they're brought online, other units that might be part way completed as well. So you're kind of like lagging a little bit, and then you can just bring them up as you go. You may also want to consider offering these newly renovated units to tenants that are already living there, and get an increase in rent, take over their old units, and turn that one as well. Upgrade that one. So when we get into a deal that has a high number of vacancies, we usually make the upgrades to half of whatever the vacancies are, and then we prepare the remainders just for a regular turn. This allows us not to tie up the vacant units for too long and get everything cash flowing quickly. The key is to renovate at a pace that will not negatively impact your occupancy rates, and make sure that the property manager can stick to the previously defined renovation timeline. That's very, very important. They don't get over your ski tips on that. Step 8, always evaluate the local rental market. As a syndicator, you'll want to understand the market so that you have deals in. Okay, so by doing so, you will know how your rents are comparing to the local market and see how they're trending as well, because rents tend to move up and down a little bit, not by much, and it depends again on the strength of the market. But it also allows you to spot deals that might be in your local market as well. So and it might be allow you to scale. So if you have a smaller deal in that area, might be clued in those to other deals that might be in that area too, depending on what the rents are. But while you can leave this to your property manager in terms of how the rent analysis is going, you'll still need to want to keep a finger on the pulse of what's going on in your market. You should be looking to your property manager for advice on increases and other amenities that should be considered to stay competitive, right? So step 9, look at the local deals to see what the market is doing. So I alluded to this in step 8. You want to know how rents are trending, but you also want to know how properties are trending as well. So is the market heating up? And maybe it's time to sell if it is. If your plan says that you're going to sell your deal in 10 years, it may be advantageous to sell it sooner if it makes financial sense for you and for your investors. If you can reward your investors with a greater return earlier than expected, you may want to go ahead and do it, because they'll probably end up taking those gains and maybe putting into your next deal because they'll be so happy with what you've done. You should also be looking at the local market like all the time. At a minimum, look at it once a quarter at least, to understand what's going on in that market. Step 10, visit the property regularly. Get out, walk the property, at least once a month. Look at the exterior of the building when you first roll in. Is it clean? Is it grass cut? Does it look like it needs any painting? How's the signage looking? How does it? Is there like old newspapers hanging out by the mailboxes? Check the common areas too to make sure they're nice and clean, and they're up to that standards we described in step 1. With your property manager. But you also want to get in the habit of not announcing your trips either. You want to show that you want to see how the property is running without the management team knowing, right? You really want to prepare. You don't want them preparing for your arrival. You want to see how the experience is for the tenants on a day-to-day basis. That's ultimately what you're trying to do there. So anyway, that's it. As you roll through the steps, you'll certainly encounter issues that were not in the plan. There'll always be some sort of an emergency or unexpected repair. Don't be surprised if your management company calls you up one day about a blown water tank, a leaking roof, or maybe even a minor emergency, hopefully. But it's for these reasons to always have enough reserves in cash reserves, so that way you could handle these surprises if they come up. So anyway, what do you think? Do you follow a 10-step plan like this when you take on a new property? Let me know in the comments. Love to hear from you. And if this video has any value to you, please go ahead and forward it. Thank you so much, and talk to you soon. Bye.